Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today, I was feeling a bit nostalgic and remembering the days spent at my parents' place. I hail from Bihar in India and have been living in UK past 14 years now. There are many things that I miss, one of them being food, especially what my mum used to cook for us over lunch or dinner. I luckily found some vegetables yesterday and thought to cook, and as I started, I thought, why not share this with you? So join me as I talk through the process of making it and what all it entails. First here, I've kept the milk to boil as I'm making kheer as a dessert. We do like a traditional dessert to end our meal, don't we? Let's talk the veggies out. I found Parval here, which is hard to find in the area I live, also known as pointed gourds. I will be mixing some potatoes to this to complete a gravy dish. Second up is Turia or Tirohi, or also called the rich gourd. The scales of it are a bit hard, but when it comes to the health point and the deliciousness aspect of it, is super tasty. I will cook this with some chopped onions and herbs. Here, just to quickly show you how do I peel my vegetables up. I would also be peeling the potatoes along with parval to complete the gravy dish. Once you're done peeling the parval and the potatoes, depending on the size of the parval, I would let you decide how do you chop them. Here, because the sizes are tiny, so just split them into half. And as far as Tirohi goes, or Turia, I've just peeled them, washed them and kept it aside and just finely chopped them into small cubes. Finally, coming to my kheer, the milk is perfectly boiled enough. I've washed and soaked some rice, which I'm adding to the milk now, and constantly keeping it on a low flame and cooking it through. Fresh elaichis are always good to flavor your milk. Usually you do get powdered elaichi powder, but here I'm using fresh ones. Add the choices of my dry fruits. I've taken pista, almonds and cashews, just roughly chopped, added to the milk. Give it a quick good stir and let the rice cook with the dry fruits. Finally, my pudding or kheer is ready. It's perfectly cooled to the nice room temperature, and I'm just adding some saffron strands to it. I do like a taste and flavor of jaggery, so I've added jaggery here for the sweetness. Give it a good stir and just let it sit for some time. I've dished up my kheer on a nice bowl, I presume. Adding just few strands again to garnish, and I've chopped and thinly sliced some dry fruits of my choice. You can also add raisins if you like. I'm not particularly fond of them, so I've just chopped some almonds, cashews and pistachios again and just topping them on top. Now let's start cooking our veggies. Now Bihari food is all about using mustard oil, and I just love the smell and fragrance of mustard oil. It really cooks and makes the vegetables really delish in my understanding. So here I've just taken about a tablespoon and a half of mustard oil, and I'm sauteing some parval and potatoes which I had chopped earlier. In a separate pan also, what I'm doing here is poured in some mustard oil, roughly about again a tablespoon and a half. Let it warm up and heat up well. And to this I would be adding my seasonings, and here my seasonings of choice is Panch Phoran, or you could say 5 different sorts of seeds to temper the oil. Here I've chosen fennel, fenugreek seeds, nigella seeds, I've also added mustard seeds here. So they're all in total called parch poran. So I always have got a blend all mixed up together in a separate jar. So I've added that to the oil. Once it starts to crackle, I would then follow and add asafoetida or hing. Again, like a teaspoon maybe is good enough for the quantity of vegetables that I'm cooking today. To this I would add some dried chilies. Now here we do get like a bird eye chili, which is quite hot, and it's good enough to kind of temper the oil, season the oil, and perfect for the vegetables that I'm cooking today. So I've chosen like about 4-5 here. To the heated oil, I'm adding finely sliced onions. It's red onions that I've chosen. I think they're just perfect instead of the white ones that we do get here. And I'll saute them until they are golden brown. Once my onions are brown, I would add my finely chopped thuria or ridge goat, as I mentioned earlier, and on a high flame I'll continue stirring the vegetables up unless it's slightly softened and blended in well with the onions and the herbs that I added earlier. And it's such a simple dish that you just don't need too much of anything to it. The herbs is just perfect. The bit of the heat coming from the chili, the onions to provide you that sweetness. All I need here is salt and turmeric. And I've added like 1.5 teaspoons of salt because this vegetable has got a lot of moisture in it. So I don't want to add too much salt at this point, and just 1 teaspoon of turmeric. And again on a high flame, I will continue to stir this up. And once it's all blended in, I will just reduce the flame, put the lid on, and let it cook. That's all we need to know and do at this stage. Look at that. It's now perfectly cooked. As you can see, there's a bit of moisture there. Now I do like it, the moisture that you see here. You can also further reduce the moisture if you want. But at this stage, all I would do is add some chopped coriander leaves. All done. Coming back to our parval. So earlier, as I mentioned, I was sauteing my parval with potatoes in mustard oil. As you can see here, it's nice and golden, and it's this perfect time that I'm ready to take these out. To the leftover oil, I've not added much oil there, maybe 1 teaspoon of more mustard oil to the already oil that was in the pan. I've added cumin seeds, red chilies, and asafoetida again, a couple of bay leaves, let them all crackle nice and hot, and in goes the finely chopped onions. I let them again cook on a high flame until they are nice and golden brown. There you go, they're nice and golden brown. Finally, I'm adding a couple of 2 medium-sized tomatoes to this and give it a good stir. They're all nice and mushy here. At this stage, I'll now add my dry spices. But before that, let's just quickly add in our ginger garlic paste. Again, a couple of tablespoons of ginger garlic goes in, and I'll let it all blend in well with the onions and tomatoes. Now, in terms of dry spices, not too much. A teaspoon of chili powder, a couple of teaspoons of coriander powder, a teaspoon of turmeric powder, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, and that's it. I'll mix all these dry spices along with the onions, garlic, ginger, and tomato paste. Add in a splash of water, as you can see, maybe just a tiny cup of water so that all the spices are blended well. As you can see here, my spices are on a high flame. I would simmer the flame, let the spices all nicely cook in, reduce the flame, put the lid on for a good 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, as you can see, the color of the spice or masala is now turned nice brownish in color. And this is this perfect stage of this whole cooking process where I could add the earlier sauteed parval and aloo. At this stage, it's best to put your flame from medium to a high flame and give it a nice good stir. Let the spices blend in with those sauteed parval and potatoes. There you go. They're nicely blended in. Now, at this stage, all we'll do is add a half a cup of water, maybe a little bit more if you like, a little bit more thin gravy, but I do like a little thicker gravy. So I've just added roughly about a cup of water. At this stage, the flame is still high, but I'll reduce the flame and then put the lid on. After maybe 15-20 minutes, as you can see, the parval is nice and soft, the potatoes are nicely cooked. You can see the oil has separated from the gravy slightly. At this stage, all I'll do is add a teaspoon and a half of garam masala. Now this is freshly grounded garam masala that I've actually done at home. Very simple, very easy. If you'd like a video on it, let me know. Now, most Bihari cooking or the vegetables along with the rice is incomplete without a dal. And here my most favorite lentils or dal is masoor dal or red lentils. Very quick, very easy. I've soaked some red lentils in hot water. In goes in the salt and turmeric. Of course, I mean the measurements is based on the quantity of the lentils that I'm cooking here. As you can see, I've given it a couple of whistles to the dal. It's ready. In a separate pan, heating some desi ghee, maybe a teaspoon and a half. I've also added a teaspoon and a half of mustard oil to it. In goes in a teaspoon and a half of cumin seeds. Let it crackle nice and hot. I have a habit of obviously using asafoetida a lot because I think it really seasons the food very well and it's good for your digestion as well. Now, because I've used so much of dry red chilies, so here I'm using finely chopped green chilies and finely chopped garlic here. I'll let the garlic cook and turn golden. Once it's turned golden, I'll add some chopped onions to it. Again, on a high flame, I'll continue to stir this concoction until the onions are golden brown. And once it's nice and golden brown, all we need is a teaspoon or maybe teaspoon and a half of red chili powder. I do tend to use a lot of Kashmiri lal mirch because it adds a good color to the food that you're cooking. And also, my husband is not particularly a fan of hot food. So here goes in the boiled red lentils to the dal. As you can see that it's a very soupy consistency, and I think this is the perfect kind of consistency which sits very well with the Bihari food when you've got 2-3 different sorts of vegetables to go with it. Here I've chosen a thali because I think it's a good way to represent the different sort of food that's been cooked today. So in my katori first goes in the parval aloo and the gravy. It's nice and brown and it's just what I like. And once I've plated that up, the next is the turiya that I cooked earlier. I would say this is the most underrated vegetable. It's so delicious, but not many people, actually even in India, know about this vegetable. But do try it because this vegetable is super healthy, super delicious, and would go with either roti or rice, whatever you want to eat it with. So the next up is my dal that I cooked now, and I had some rice that I had cooked earlier, and I'm just I had kept it in a bowl so that it takes the shape of the bowl. So I'm plating that up now. And just to complete the thali, I'm just garnishing chopped coriander leaves to the dal, turiya and Parval aloo that I made earlier. I've sliced some cucumber, a dash of lime, and a chili surely for me. And that's my thali all done. Now, I cannot really explain in words as to the pleasure that I actually got just cooking that thali. So I hope you like what I cooked today. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye for now.